we started a little late, 12:03, so it is past noon here in Denver, Colorado. We're going to be drinking some tequila today. I'm excited. I have Conley Fitzpatrick, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Dano's Tequila. Conley, thanks for being on.
Hi, thank you for having me.
As well as Angela Dugan, who is the dame at Dugan and Dame in Boca Raton, Florida. Angela, appreciate you being on the show.
I am super stoked to be here.
Right. Let's start with why we're drinking tequila this morning. So Conley, I was excited when a friend of ours and somebody who works with you, Quinn Kelsey, reached out to me and said, Dano's is doing some amazing work to support its bartender community, its hospitality community at this time. And so I want to give you a little bit of why we're here right now. So tell us, before we talk about the tequila and what Angela's doing, specifically, let's talk about why it was important in this moment for you to activate in this way and what specifically you're doing in this time to support that community.
Yeah, of course. So I think it's important to give a little bit of background on the brand, which is why we're doing what we're doing. So Dano's was founded by a woman named Dano, who lives out in Steamboat, Colorado. And he is half Mexican and half Hawaiian, and he absolutely loves pineapple and mango. So he created this infusion himself that he'd been making just with 100% agave tequila. And Dano loves to share with everybody. So he had been hosting parties where he lived in Steamboat, and it became one of those things that just really took off amongst his group of friends. And you know, everybody just kind of said, "Kind of bottle this, so we can actually get it." Share with our friends as well. And so Dano and other co-founder Chris actually headed down to Mexico, met with a bunch of distilleries, and really were passionate about keeping the integrity of the liquid that Dano had originally created, using only fresh fruit, zero additives, no preservatives. So they were very lucky to have incredible partners at the end of day race, which is the distillery that exclusively produces for Dano's down in Mexico. It's the second oldest distillery in Mexico, actually, and it's still family run, fourth generation. So it's a really fantastic partner for us. So they were able to get the infusion made, and then also were able to get the rights to distribute the amazing traditional recipe for Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo that the Reyes family had been making since 1840. So we're really excited to be able to share not only Dano's original kind of concoction, but also the Reyes family's original recipes as well. So in our DNA as a brand is pairing. Just for the past, share our love of our tequila with new people, to make friends, and to introduce our old friends to new ones. So we decided to launch virtual really early into it. I think it was the first week that social distancing had begun, and we kind of did a soft launch. We decided to do it yesterday. Well, so much as it's really important for us to include a part of in the so that we could support the community. So we pay generously the bartenders that join us each week, and we also are making a donation of $5 per guest that joins us on the virtual happy hour to the Bartender Emergency Relief Fund, which I'm really thrilled to be able to do. So
okay, let me recap that for people.
And to share with the bartending community.
Let me recap that for people. So you're hosting the virtual happy hour Fridays, and I'm going to throw a link in so you guys actually have the Facebook event itself every Friday. You're paying the bartenders. I love hearing that. Here's why I love that, because in this moment, we all in hospitality are hurting, broke as fuck right now. Like, it's a struggle for sure. And then at the same time, we're so willing to give of ourselves and be supportive in this moment of so many good causes. And so I love that you know, the bartenders would say yes, even if they are doing it for free, right? You know that because it's just in them to have that hospitality, yet to be able to pay them and support them, whatever that is in this moment, means a lot. And then $5 per guest that joins the happy hour then. So I like that too, from a marketing standpoint. Get more butts and seats, more money raised. I love that it's very fiscally responsible in multiple ways, as well as just being altruistic and a lot of fun. So I can really appreciate that. And so while we're talking a little bit more, I'm going to dig in. I got a lot of tequila on this table, the pineapple and jalapeno. So I love that this is kind of really where it started with that infusion. And so, Angela, from your perspective, first of all, let's start with the fact that you get to share something you're so passionate about, a product that you're bought into for sure, and then also making a couple of bucks as a bartender makes sense to me. So talk about that, and then let's talk specifically about the product itself.
Jensen, can you repeat that? Because I completely lost you.
Sorry. Technology. Just wanted to get yours on being able to, in this moment, have an opportunity to share something like your love for bartending, as well as a brand like Dano's supporting financially at the same time, bringing those two things together.
Yeah, you know what? More than anything, it's very humbling. Obviously, it's the bar industry, the restaurant industry are the ones that are pushing.
Oh, we lost Angela here.
Oh, no.
Technology. Hold on, people. We're going to get this thing figured out. Come on, Be Live. We're counting on you. Angela, you there? Angela, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay. We're gonna work through this. Whatever it takes for us to get this conversation out, we're gonna make it happen. And we're gonna drink some tequila. But yeah, this is par for the course right now, for sure. You never know when the interwebs are gonna get overloaded. So I appreciate the patience, everybody watching, and the two of you. But we are hospitality professionals. We just find a way to figure shit out, no matter how awkward and uncomfortable it is. That's it. We have tequila. So on that note, oh, we froze Angela again.
Oh no.
All right, we're gonna keep jumping in and out. Conley.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start drinking this while we try and figure out how to have Angela.
Please do. I mean, I think hopefully you'll really love this. As I just mentioned, it's kind of Dano's original recipe. What I love is if you look at the bottle, you'll actually see some sediment in there. The color can sometimes vary between bottles, which just goes to show you that it really is, fresh fruit and it's made the right way. So hopefully you'll enjoy that.
Now we totally lost Angela. All right, so yeah, you can definitely smell tons and tons of pineapple. And I appreciate right away on the nose because two ingredients that can so often come completely out of whack in infusions are chili peppers and jalapenos. Yeah. So I appreciate that on the nose for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Angela, jumping back in. This is going to be an entertaining one for sure.
It's musical chairs.
Yeah, okay. So now I see exactly what you mean by having the Dano's dangerous tequila on the bottles, because that's like porch pounder crushable, huh?
Yeah, it's very smooth. So we always remind people to drink responsibly. But yeah, it's great, just sipping like that or in a spicy margarita is how we like it best. So.
Yep, I hear that. So, all right. Well, let's go a little bit further and hopefully we can get Angela back in at some point.
Great.
So very specifically with the bartenders themselves, how are you reaching out to this community? You're in Connecticut, Angela is in Florida, you have bartenders from across the country doing this. So how are you actually reaching out to this network of bartenders to be able to bring them into the mix?
Yeah, it's a few different ways. Some of it is just personal relationships that we have. And then it's also relying on our distributor partners as well to kind of help connect us to people that we haven't met. We've just basically reached out to all of them and said, look, we've kicked off this virtual happy hour. Do you know anybody who you think would be a great fit? So that's actually how we got connected with Angela. And so it's been really fun for us to make a bunch of new connections as well and for them to learn about Dano's too. So it's been great.
The actual funds that are getting raised, how and where are those getting funneled?
Yeah, so the money that is raised for the Bartenders Guild Emergency Relief Fund is going to be basically aggregated week over week. And then at the end of May, we'll basically make one lump donation to that fund. So we're just hoping that, each week we get more and more people so that that number can continue to grow and we can put forth, a really strong donation to that fund, because we feel obviously very strongly about it. And we're also, happy to continue to be able to have the bartenders on and be able to support them individually through just their payment for their time.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Now, do the bartenders get competitive about who's raised the most money? I feel like it's a good way to also motivate bartenders.
It's funny that you ask that. There hasn't been too much, jabbing yet, but we like
behind the scenes. I'm sure there is
to inspire it. Yeah, I think a little healthy competition is always good for for business and for fundraising. So we're all for it. Maybe we'll have to do a competition, a bartenders competition. We'll think about that.
Bartenders love to compete. They love to compete, actually, I think, more than chefs, or at least there's more bartender competitions than there are chef competitions, which is a lot for sure.
I know.
So
we've been talking.
All right, I gotta go on tequila number 2.
Awesome.
Oh, it says drink responsibly right on the back. That's very responsible.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, the classic, the most used Blanco tequila.
Yeah. So the Blanco is, to me, was the most exciting one in a way to try, because I feel like, Blancos can tend to be a little one note sometimes. And I felt like ours was so great because it does give you that nice agave flavor, but it's still just so incredibly smooth. So hopefully there should be a little bit of coconut in there, a little vanilla hint. So
yeah, and I'm not doing my proper swish and swirl and all that. I definitely get some pineapple in that, which clearly is not in there. But yeah. Here's what I really appreciate about this, and a lot of people are going to go, yep, I feel you. I grew up in San Diego. We went to Tijuana way too much and got into some trouble, eating some worms, all the bad things. Yeah. Tequila was a little rough on me for a long time, and I'll be honest, it's the spirit that I know the least about for sure. And one of the things is cheap tequila really gets to me because they don't pull enough methanol off the heads off of that first cut, because they're trying to expand the volume of liquid to make more money. And that methanol just really, really gets to me. It's industrial cleaner is also what methanol gets used for. This has very little, really clean ethanol. Like it has a little pure alcohol flavor to it. No burn, like smooth finish. So yeah. Is that important to make sure that it didn't have that?
Of course.
Cheap
tequila? Of course. And I would say even just, every step of the process is critically important, from the beginning where we're cooking our agave, well, even going back a step further, allowing the agave plants to fully mature, that 8 years that it really requires, and then bricks testing them to make sure that they have the appropriate amount of sweetness within them. So it kind of starts there, and then moving on to the hornos. We have 180-year-old hornos, and we slow steam our piñas for 26 hours. So that's really important because there's a lot of brands that are shortcutting, in order to save time and cook at higher volumes, as you mentioned earlier. So we're really still using that traditional old world kind of time-tested cooking method, which I think is critically important. And then we ferment them and crush them to release the juice. So the traditional method of crushing the piñas using a tahona is how we do it. So it's like a grinding wheel, for those that might not be familiar. And we use volcanic spring water, and then we distill in copper distillers. So it's definitely, a labor of love, but it results in a much cleaner and nicer flavor.
The copper stills, that's something the Reyes family's been using for that generation.
Yeah. Now the copper stills may not date back the full 180 years. I'll double check that one for you, because I like to always be fully honest about everything. The hornos, however, I know has been in place the entire time. So that is for sure. I mean, if you look at the copper pots, they definitely look they've been in a good way. They've been aged. They've got that lovely patina. They're copper gets that lovely aging. But yeah, so everything's been done the same way since 1840.
Love hearing that.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on to another, where are we going? Reposado?
Yeah, so the age variants for me are very interesting because I've worked on other tequila brands in the past, and most tequila brands age their reposado, their añejo, in reused bourbon, cognac, wine barrels, a variety of different other spirits. We actually use virgin white oak barrels, which is a real distinguishing process, like part of the process for us. And what it does is it really allows the agave to be very forward, and it does allow that oak flavor to impart itself within the tequila, but it's not getting the whiskey, the bourbon, the smokiness that you would typically get from some other tequilas.
Yeah, it's smooth. So I'm glad that you said that, because right away, then when I get into especially reposado, because it doesn't have the intensity of like an añejo, you start to pick up other spirits more than tequila. And it almost seems like masking tequila in a way versus it having its own expression. So definitely appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, and we age it for 9 months in those virgin white oak barrels. So it's you're not required to do it that long, but we do, and we think it results in a great flavor.
Yes, Angela.
Hi.
You're back. Did you have to take a cocktail break before you came back? I understand. Completely understand. All right. Well, we've been talking about tequila, and I've been tasting tequila, and so I just knew technology was going to force me to drink more tequila today, and I'm willing to make that sacrifice if it inspires people to go and support, get more funds into the USBG fundraising. That link is down below. Here in a second, I'm going to throw the link up for the specific event page on Facebook, so you can do that. Angela, making cocktails with tequila, and specifically with Dano's, and being able to, at this time when it's crazy, I mean, it's just crazy right now, to be able to do what you love, make cocktails for people and support a good cause. What does that mean to you?
It's humbling and it's exciting because it is a crazy time, but for me personally, there's been so much opportunity for me to be more creative because I have more free time. I am stuck at the house. So I don't have all the distractions that normally would be in my day to day. And then to be able to have these opportunities as well, where we can just kind of go to town with some really great tequila, which everybody says vodka is the perfect canvas. I honestly, in my soul, believe tequila is the perfect canvas. You can do so much with it, and it blends well with any plant you want to blend it with for cocktail purposes. But it's amazing to have support from brands like Dano's that are looking out for the bartenders. Yep. And then the relationships that we have with them is more important than even the money that you put in the till at the end of the day, because that's what this industry is. It's alcohol. It's not serious. It's for fun. So the relationships with the bar and your guests, and then the relationships with the brands themselves is so critical.
And isn't that so important right now when, the whole thesis of this show, why I started it, was in our industry to start to value and focus more on why and who before what and how. We get so caught up in the minutia and ground up in the day-to-day of what we do and how we do it, and that being our differentiation, our competitive advantage, all these different things, yet why we do what we do and who it is we serve and who's in the trenches with us, that really matters. And now that we don't have what and how, we only have these relationships, and the simplification of how we value those relationships, how we put effort into them. I think that with everything going on, I'm excited about the fact that we just have to decide, like, I really am passionate about making cocktails and having a relationship with somebody like Conley, a brand like Dano's, and being able to support the USBG in this time is like, it's just so cool. Like, it's just really special that we get to do that. So I'm excited that you point that out and illustrate that. Cocktails, making cocktails, you said it's the perfect canvas. I love hearing that, because vodka is great and can be boring. Let's say, because it's like so vanilla. You can do everything with it. I understand. Yet I like the challenge for a bartender to be able to take something with tequila that is so tequila, it is so itself, and then to be able to take it into different places. So maybe give us a high level, your approach. Clearly you're a pro of a tequila cocktail, and then let's talk about the cocktail that you're actually making tonight.
Okay. So it's always about the story. because just like a guest comes to the bar and they're not looking for like this perfect drink or this perfect meal, they're looking for this perfect conversation and this perfect interaction and this story. And as bartenders, we're constantly telling the story, and it makes our life so much easier when we have awesome brands that come with a story that we can add to what we're doing. So even the cocktail tonight, I'm being in Florida and it is in the 90s. It is really, really hot today. We skipped springtime and went straight into summer. We're getting a lot of really lush plant life. I am studying herbalist. It's what I love to do. So we're getting a lot of really good plant life coming into fruition right now. Almost mango season. Couldn't quite jump into mangoes yet. Are you getting reverberation?
Yeah, a little bit.
I'll turn mine down, see if that helps. We good?
Keep going. Let's keep going.
But hibiscus is really big right now in everybody's backyard, so that's why I wanted to run with. Just like Dano's really takes pride in the agave that they use, in the products that they put together. I always pay attention to that when putting together a cocktail too, and make sure that just like their plants that they use are at peak perfection, so are the botanical plants that go into the actual cocktail that's created. So for tonight, I wanted to take Florida inspiration because it is so hot out. It is my backyard. We're all stuck at home, so this is what I'm living with. And coconut, some hibiscus, some lime, mint. It's everything right now that's in peak in Florida. So we're melding all those together to give you a really, really good tequila looking forward to summer cocktail.
I need that. We were joking before. Conley's got like hailstorms going on in Connecticut. It rained in the middle of the night last night here in Denver. I left my shoes outside. They're soaking wet. It's crazy. It's like pandemonium out here, and it's 90 degrees in Florida. I absolutely love that. We're throwing a Florida-inspired tequila party tomorrow, and I'm going to make cocktails, and each of our neighbors, we're just going to sit in our own garages and drink tequila. So, I might have to live stream that as well, because a lot of tequila here. Conley, you sent me a lot of tequila.
Listen, we're all about sharing at Dano's.
I absolutely love it. So, storytelling, chief marketing officer, professional storyteller, bartender, professional storyteller, guy who talks a lot, kind of a storyteller. So it's clearly in us to tell those stories. I want to get to the root of this, and Conley, maybe you can help a little bit with this, set the table, and then Angela, maybe take us to the specifics when you're behind the stick. We contextualize everything in our lives through stories, everything, right? Even facts, we find our way into telling stories around facts because we don't like facts. We like stories that give us an understanding of what information means. That's a very anthropological and psychological look at it, but I see it play out day in and day out, especially in this moment. Now, when you're telling stories about tequila, about a beverage, about a brand, about something that lives in a glass bottle, how do you communicate that story to somebody like Angela, who then amplifies that story to her guests behind the bar? What is kind of the roots? Give us a little insider tip into telling a story through a glass bottle.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've worked on a lot of spirits brands. I've been in the industry for quite a while. And the reason that I took this job is because of the story, is because of how the brand was founded and how it came to be, and also the folks that started it. So I've worked on brands where they've been celebrity owned, or it's been somebody who's been in the spirits industry for a long time and just kind of knew they could rely on, their supply chain and whatever else to kind of help grow this brand. This is a brand that was born from just pure love, right? Like, it's just the greatest thing. You just don't find those that often anymore, and especially within the tequila category. I mean, look at so many celebrity brands. And so I just think it's such a unique position for us to be able to have. And I love that, our co-founders are just these two guys from Steamboat Springs, Colorado, who are super casual and wear jeans every meeting and are just fun, and people love them. I mean, when I was introducing myself to all the distributors across the country, they were like, man, Chris is just best. Like, it's just one of those great situations. It just doesn't happen that often. And I feel really lucky to be a part of this brand and to kind of get in sort of early on, because I'm just looking forward to watching it continue to grow. And we're only going to do that by, having the support of people like Angela and people like yourself who are going to help us tell that story. So we're just really appreciative to be on the show and to have everybody listening and learning about Dano's.
Yeah, that Colorado vibe, Steamboat, beautiful town, by the way. That Colorado vibe is just, it's so pure, and especially when it comes to beverages. I mean, you both know the cocktail scene, the bartender scene in Denver and in Colorado at large is as good as anywhere in the country, for sure. People like Brian Dayton and Sean Kenyon and Stuart Jensen's up for some awards this year. I was excited to see that. He was a cook of mine back in the day. He's got a great name. Now he's, cocktail. So excited to see what's happening here in Denver. And so I'm not surprised by that. Just good energy, good vibe. Like, give a shit about the story and the people behind the story and the people that will be pouring it. So Angela, it matters. Like, tell people how much it matters to be able to pour a spirit that isn't just this innocuous blank bottle with nothing to it and it's just there to get people drunk. Rather, you have something that you can actually tell a story, because that's your job. You're doing it through libations, but your job is to tell stories,
Yeah, and then our guests carry those stories along as well, and that's obviously how brands become popular, because then they start sharing with their friends and so on. But one of the things Conley, as you were talking, I wanted to add in that I thought of is that it does start with the founders and their love for what they're doing, and that love reverberates out to who they bring in to that brand, and it keeps going on and on. Dano's is important to us, not just because of the product itself, and the product is a good product that is high quality, but our relationship with our Dano's reps is one of our best relationships. And they come in and they're not there pushing a product, this is what we're selling. They come in and we know them and they're our friends and we hang out with them. And it makes us love them and the brand even more. So it's full circle. I mean, at the end of the day, you go to a restaurant, you go to a bar because it's your family. Yeah. So it has to transcend all those lines, no matter who's selling what to whom.
Yeah. Who are your reps? Let's give them a little airtime.
Bo Eaton. He is Overcast. So he has become a very dear friend of ours, and he has sung the praises of Dano's for so long, and he's the reason that one of the main reasons that we were introduced to Dano's.
I really like that, because the whole supply chain and everybody at every interval of that is so important, and we kind of forget about it. We think about the stars of the story behind the tequila and Angela and the chef and this and that, and we forget that it takes a village. It absolutely takes a village. The whole ecosystem is fueling that good coming out at the end. So definitely don't want to let Bo and all the Bo's out there slip through the cracks, because Bo, you are important to me, Dano, to Angela, to every single person that now brings Dano's into their home in Boca Raton or wherever they travel from for a vacation. They now care about Dano's because of you. So you know, right? So now we're getting into for me, the serious stuff. So Añejo, I'm really excited. As soon as you said the barrels that you're using, I instantly looked at the Añejo. I was like, I already know I'm going to love you.
Yeah, I mean, I have to do a little plug, and I promise I won't do much of this, but we did just win 2020 San Francisco World Spirits Competition Best Añejo. So I am really excited about that. And, hopefully you enjoy the flavor as much as professionals do.
Yeah, and the texture of your tequila is something that I appreciate as well. Like, it's got a really nice just touch of viscosity to it. It doesn't feel cloying like some do, and it doesn't feel thin like others. Like, hitting that sweet spot with texture for me is pretty important, because that's where you're going to have that finish on it, which I think is really key. And I want everyone to know, like, I'm not getting anything besides tequila out of this. So it's not like I'm just blowing smoke. I have no filter. I would tell you if it was hot garbage. So,
we're giving all the money to the bartenders.
Yeah, Angela would not be attaching her if it was hot garbage. We just can't do it. It's just not in us. So I appreciate that. All right. Angela, I want to get some last thoughts from you. When you're thinking about making this cocktail and wishing that you could be behind the bar making that cocktail, who are the type of people that you just really connect with when they walk in, who are off the streets, your family, or coming on vacation, but like you just know that they're going to enjoy this story that you're going to tell them through tequila?
I think it's my responsibility for anybody who walks through that door to bring them into the story. So it doesn't matter who it is. It's just kind of reading them what they're interested in. I love when people come to me and say, "Oh, I don't drink tequila." I'm like, you haven't had a good tequila or a good tequila cocktail. So then I'm like, okay, good. Can I make you something? And then we go down that road. But yeah, that's on us. Like it's not on the guests.
That's challenge accepted. I love hearing that. It's like, oh, you don't, huh? You don't like tequila? I'm a huge fan of that because we have that like competitiveness in us. We're so like a band of misfits, you know, like, you think you know, you don't know. Now, no. So I definitely appreciate that. Conley, last thoughts, and then we're going to get some playlist items, and I always love that. One of my favorite parts. My list is long of things to listen to, read, watch, drink, eat, and I appreciate that in this time. Some last thoughts on just, again, like why it's so important in this moment for you. Any last thoughts that you have for being able to support this community, for being able to bring your product to play, to continue the story that we kind of all need, those moments of levity, anything on that front you'd like to share before we wrap up?
I mean, I think, like I said, I really think it just all comes back to we all need connection. And that's what spirits is. You know, Angela mentioned earlier, like this is not, serious stuff. We're really lucky to work in, this category where it's all about enjoyment and celebration. And, I think it's easy for people to feel a little bit stifled right now in some of those regards, but there's still so many ways to connect with people. And I think another point that Angela made earlier, which I love too, is like we're all getting more creative. So it's not that we're stopping having fun. It's not that we're, not celebrating. We're just doing it differently. And I really love that we can play a role in facilitating joy right now. So I just think that that's a really lucky position to be in. And I'm thrilled. Yeah.
I feel lucky right now.
Thank you. We're lucky to have Angela. And I want to make sure Angela gets to talk about her tonics too, because I'm really excited.
Yeah. Plug away. But I feel very lucky to be sitting here in a room by myself, face to face with a couple new friends, drinking tequila, and be like, this is the greatest moments that could happen today. And it's totally weird and awkward, yet it's also amazing. And that's just that it is. So yes, tell us about what's behind you right now, Angela.
My shelf of extracts. So I'm the founder of Dugan and Dame. It is a line right now. It's a line of tonics and bitters, but we're looking to expand that. I got into it because I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm also a budding herbalist, and I really dive into medicinal plants. And tonic is one of the most quintessential ways to get medicine into people through plant matter. It also was created as a medicine before it was ever a cocktail ingredient. So I have always made the mixers for our bars, and anytime cocktail program I put together, I always make like the products that complement the spirits. And so my husband and I decided to launch Dugan and Dame, which are mixers for great spirits. And I use old folk methods of decocting and extracts using different proofs and different time frames to really get not only the best flavor profile that I can, but also the medicinal constituent of that plant using only organic and wild crafted botanicals. So it's my little passion, kind of my favorite passion. So I have my foot in multiple avenues of this industry. My husband and I own Capel Noodle Bar in Boca Raton. We have our own line that we've just launched, and I'm also a mixologist. So I love this industry.
Do all the things. All right. Well, now I'm going to have you back on the show, a subset of the show. So one thing I've been talking about in other episodes is just how we are as a whole in the industry and individuals. And so we're actually starting a new channel called Best Served High, Hospitality Industry Good Health, to just talk about like what it means to think about our wellness, supporting ourselves, sobriety, all of these different aspects that are starting to, and importantly, becoming more a part of it. And so when he said, talking about tonics being medicine, I think it's really important, because I also think that there's ways for us to still consume, but be smart about it and find balance. We're so all in or all out in this industry. Balance is like a dirty word that we just don't understand. So we've been talking about it a little bit, and it started to funnel into, I need people who are in the industry, formerly in the industry, that are now life coaches or growing cannabis for CBD products or doing tonics. So you are now going to be on the show that we're doing. Hi, we're taking that word, turning it into a positivity, and I'm excited about that. So we'll talk more about the tonics for sure. A couple playlist items. Angela, anything that maybe you're consuming right now that's helping you stay sane, but specifically maybe a classic tequila cocktail that's a go-to for you?
I am such a purist. I drink tequila neat. If I'm going to do anything, especially more than tequila, so the añejo is up my alley. Otherwise, it's going to be very simple. So I just straight lime, fresh lime. I make a lot of cocktails, and I make them for many reasons, and I grow a lot of herbal plant, like medicinal plants. So whatever I have, I'm pulling and putting into cocktails. But I just love the products as they are, simple.
That's great. That's perfect. Conley, for you, same question. If there's anything that you're watching, reading, listening to, or just give us your classic tequila cocktail, or both.
Yeah, so I'm very similar to Angela. I'm a bit of a purist as well, although I will say on a very cold day, I actually love a twist on an old fashioned using our añejo. So that's something kind of like a decadent treat, I feel like. But typically I'm just either sipping añejo or I'm having a Blanco and club soda with some lime. So I'm similar. I like to let the liquid shine.
Love it. Winning for sure. Are you a cherry and orange, or just lemon on your old fashioned?
I do the orange. I don't know. Is that bad? I do it.
No, there is no bad.
If you like it, it's perfect.
Yeah, I do the orange. I like it. I love a citrus.
You enjoy it? That's the right. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. That's important. I appreciate you both being on. I'm excited that my day drinking today had a theme. It had a story to it. It had a purpose to it. We're going to do some good. So again, for everybody, links are in there. Pinned link is to the Facebook event, so you can get connected with the happy hour happening tonight, happening every Friday. Conley, what time is Angela on stage tonight?
It's 8 p.m. Eastern time. So we made it so the West Coast could join at 5, or if you're on the East Coast, 8, and somewhere in between in the middle. So yeah, join us.
I love it. Appreciate you both being on. Angela, I'm excited that you get to make cocktails for people all across the country tonight. And thank you to both of you for sharing some time, for going into action. I think it's the thing that I'm loving the most right now is we're staying at home, we're being smart and safe, yet we're finding ways to communicate, to tell stories, to be of service and hospitality in this time. So appreciate you both for being on the show. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks for everyone for technical difficulties. I know dozens of people reach out to me as like, oh, when you popped Angela back on and off, that was my favorite part of the show, because it just feels like life right now. Nothing is working the way I want it to. So I'm glad that you all don't have to be so polished in this moment either. So thank you both for telling stories and for being patient with us today. I appreciate you both.
Thank you
For having us.
All right, have a great day. And Conley, have a great event tonight and for weeks to come. Cheers. All right. Thank you. You just never know with this stuff if we're going to have the technology on our side. And appreciate you as always, but connect with this. I think this is important. I think there's lots of asks for support, and there's great causes everywhere. And I'm trying to get as many of those messages out there. What I love most is the moments that giving allows people on both sides of the equation to be able to do what they love to do and be creative, like Angela is. The support very specifically and financially to pay the bartender and to bring money into the USBG fundraising system is important. And then on the other end, you just get a moment of levity to laugh and learn. And I think that really, really matters. All right, tune back in about 20 minutes. We're going to have Eric Skokin on Hopefully the technology works for this because he is on the farmhouse. Eric Skokin is a chef, farmer in Boulder, Colorado, Black Cat Organic Farm. He's also got a couple restaurants, Bramble and Hare, a restaurant I love in Boulder as well. We're going to talk about how important farming is in this moment, how we kind of forget about it. Again, I mentioned the whole supply chain. We talk about restaurants and feeding people. What's happening with the farmers, their products? Are they going fallow in the field? How can you support? So we're going to focus on that right now. Cheers.